Hello there, good afternoon, long time no see. I don't really know where time has gone, to be honest. I used to do these fairly often. I guess it's a good thing that I haven't been on. Work for me is that the studio's got nice and busy. So yeah, in fact, I found it hard to find the time to do them. It's almost a bit it's like COVID in a weird way has been a good thing, I think, for lots of craft businesses. I think lots of people saw the benefit of enjoying some craft. So yeah, I'm still here, here in Cardiff. I've got extra guests today with me. My mum has hurt her leg and has had an operation. So if you can see there, the little black dog is Jessie, and then the little white one is Bella. And then over on the other chair over there is Gwen, my little grey dog. So I am a bit worried that the postman may come and then they'll all go wild. So I'm ready to hit the mute if that happens. So yeah, apologies in advance if it all goes crazy. But at the moment, they're all nice and chilled. I took them to the beach this morning. So yeah, let me know who's joining me today. Hi, I can see Irene's here already. That's great. And we're going to make, I haven't actually got an example of the final thing, because I'll tell you a story about that now, but something like the one that I made on video here for Virtual Village Hall. But this has like been on the door for like years, so it looks terrible. In fact, I looked at my house on Google Earth the other day, and that was the wreath on my door, which was quite fun to see. I now make them on like a kind of a wooden frame. I started building up the flowers on this one, but normally I put like loads. And then a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, I was invited by Virtual Village Hall, by the Royal Voluntary Service, to do the workshop with lots of their volunteers up in Shrewsbury, and Queen Camilla came along. So that was nice. She attached a little daffodil to hers, and then in theory, I gave her one, so it should be hung in Clarence House now. So we are making a summer wreath fit for a queen today. So I'm hoping you'll be up for doing that. What you're going to need is felt, any felt that you can pick up in kind of home bargains, or you may already have at home. I'll tell you kind of roughly the dimensions that I'm cutting them to, but honestly, I can't explain enough that it doesn't really matter, that you're going to see as you make them that if it's a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, it's all just going to look nice but different. So that's why I quite enjoy this. You're also going to need some wires. As you can see, I use all sorts of stuff that I have around the place. I'm always a big advocate for not going out and buying new things. You're going to need some glue. I love a Yoo-hoo glue, and then some sharp scissors, maybe also some craft scissors if you're precious about these. I've got a sharp tool. This is called an awl, but again, I'll tell you some alternatives if you haven't got something like that at home. And then I've got some just clothes pegs to hold the glue together whilst it's drying. And then I've got a few other little crafty bits, but we'll get to that maybe in a moment. That'll be easier. So we'll get started. And the first thing you're going to do is cut yourself this is the easiest of the flowers. And have I got an example? Here we go. An example is something like this. All right, so this is a great project that you can also do with like kids, with like guide groups, all that sort of stuff, because it's really accessible. I've done it with kids from say age 7, and I've done it with people up to about 90. So it really is something that's accessible to all. So this long rectangle of felt, like I said, it really doesn't matter that you have to be this precise, but it's kind of mine is 28 centimeters by about 4 centimeters. All right, so something like that, a long thin piece of felt is the key. Then what you're going to do, I'm just going to turn my camera down so you don't get to see me anymore, but you get to see my little crafting station here. I think that'll be a bit easier. Just make it a bit tidier for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your good scissors and you're going to do lots of snips like you're making a kind of tassel. So you're not cutting all the way through. You're leaving a little about a centimetre of material uncut. There's actually some glue on my scissors. Someone's been using them incorrectly. So, right, and actually, I forget this little hack actually. Sometimes because I'm a bit lazy to cut one piece of fabric at a time, speed things up, I go through 2. If you've got good scissors, and I'm just going to cut 2 at once. Doesn't really matter if they're not all the same, because we're making a flower. And again, doesn't really matter how thin or thick the distance is between them. You'll see every kind of distance looks a little bit different when you put it together. So just do that bit that I hadn't remembered, this little top, my little hack about folding it in half. There we go. So I've got one long tassel like so, and then all I'm going to do is get my favourite glue. I do like this glue just because it's like just really easy to use. You've got to be careful, it does pour out is the only problem. It's also cheap and easy to get hold of. It dries quickly but not too quickly. Put the lid back on, I'd recommend. Then if you just want to roll, so that's like just like a snail's trail, not loads of glue, otherwise it'll splurt all over the place, but it is important there's a little bit all the way along the length where you didn't cut. And then I'm just using my fingers. Hiya, Sean, how are you? And then you're just going to roll, 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 roll. You know, some pinch me. I do think it looks nicer if you pinch it quite hard. If you leave it quite loose. Oh, as we go as well, I forgot this when I taught this on the day as well for the first one. It's funny I've done it again. Grab one of your bits of wire and place that in, because we're going to use that later to attach it to the wreath. You can glue them on later, but I find glue can be a bit brittle and then they end up falling off. So adding a bit of wire as you go. I've chosen a wire, it seems it's the same colour as the table, but I promise it is there. And then roll it up. I've got to be careful, I'm pushing almost a bit too hard, and then I'm pushing that first row out. It doesn't really matter, it's just going to look a bit different, but maybe I need to be a little less, put a little less pressure on it. Otherwise I'm going to have a really long, thin flower. Someone actually, again, has done that before with like a lilac colour, and it looked great because it looked like a lavender. Yeah, really push that hard. You can see how it should end up. Where's a proper one? There you go. So all kind of the same height like that. I was being a bit aggressive there, and I've ended up with it all at different lengths. Anyway, it still looks quite nice. So all I'm going to do, I could unroll it if I wanted to. I'm just going to pop a little pin on it, a little peg on it, sorry, and then leave that to dry. So that's my first couple of flowers done. Super simple. All right. We're going to upgrade from that next, and I'm going to show you how to do the same again pretty much, but we're going to make it like this white one here, like not cut, so it looks a bit more, let's call it, that's more like a carnation. I don't know what these are like. Anyone who's good at flower names, do let me know. For this one, this rectangle can be a bit longer than this actually, but mine's about 21 by about 10. But again, honestly, just a longer, wider rectangle than the last one will get you started. Hi Fiona, how are you? And then just run your glue along one of the long edges only. All right, so I've just put glue along this top edge here. And then I'm going to fold it in half, and then just with my fingers, I'm going to press that glue to the opposite side. I generally find it dries quick enough that I can work on it straight away. But I guess if you're at home, you could maybe wait a minute. But I'll carry on and start cutting. So this time I'm cutting that folded edge. All right, so I'm cutting little slots again and again, leaving a centimetre or so, maybe a little bit longer because we've got that glue on it. I also don't want to get more glue on my nice fabric scissors. So just cutting little lines all the way along. I'm very glad the dogs are being good. I'm keeping an eye on outside though. Hi Margaret. Yeah, it is honestly. I've been doing this project for years now, and I just find at any age it's just really good fun because it's really quite easy. You can freestyle a bit. It's a good one to do with friends. You don't have to put them on a wreath. You could just put a bunch of flowers in a vase. And it's generally stuff that most people have at home, or you can buy quite easily without having to go buy things online. You can generally pick things up when you're out and about. So that's what I've done. I've just cut little lines in there, and then all I'm going to do is put some more glue along the non-cut edge there. Again, a little snail's trail, don't go wild. Just a little bit of glue all the way along the surface. And obviously, if you didn't have Yoo-hoo, you could use even like a PVA would probably work. It would just take a little bit longer to dry. Give it a little test before and then rolling that one up. I think this one's probably my favourite. I think this is really effective. Boom! Look at that, like a little firework of curly loops. So yeah, like I said, that's, I think, oh, I've done it exactly the same again. It's so funny. I'm going to undo it a bit, put in my wire. So again, it's quite flexible if you do make mistakes, and if you did, totally forget your wire and the glue dried, you could. I have done it before. I've added them at the ends. So again, I'm just adding. I'll add a wire you can actually see this time. Here we go. Just using a pipe cleaner instead. Pop your pipe cleaner in and roll it up. I guess it would be more central if I'd remembered at the beginning, but again, it doesn't really matter. It's literally there for later, so you can wrap it around the wreath. I think that's why I keep forgetting, because we did used to glue them on. There you go. You may find it a bit harder with that one because it's so thick to get a peg that'll fit around it. I've just about managed. All right, so I'm just going to leave that one to dry. Okay, got a little pile of them, and I'll show you now some slightly harder ones to do. And then whilst I remember, another thing you can do is use pom-poms as well. They look pretty as well. So if you're a fan of pom-pom, I've made some cardboard templates. I just did them very quickly. I just did kind of 3 petals, kind of slightly overlapping, and cut them out on a kind of piece of packaging that I had at home. And then the same with this one. I kind of did 3 kind of like raindrop shapes, again slightly overlapping. I didn't really overthink them too much. The idea is I'm going to cut 2 of them, and then I'm going to overlap them to make them look like a pattern. I was going to do a daffodil, but I'll do a daffodil. Yeah, let's do a daffodil. So I'm just going to pop that on there. If you don't want it to move, you could use one of your pegs to kind of hold it in place whilst you cut around it. So I'll come back down here. It's a bit easier for you to see this burn mark on the table. We've been doing a bit of silver clay recently, which is nice. That's quite a special material. It looks a lot like kind of white clay, and then you shape it, and then you heat it with a heat gun, and then you've got like solid silver. It's a bit wild. So again, I wouldn't be too precise or precious with your measurements. We're making natural forms. So, by the way, just to confirm, I'm cutting 2 pieces of yellow felt at the same time here because I want a 6-petaled daffodil when I finished. Like so. All right, so I've got my 6 petals there. And then I might just, I seem to have lost the end of that one. Let me just tidy that one up a bit. Make it a bit sharper. It's obviously a popular flower here in Wales. So I've got my 2 shapes, and then when I place them over the top of each other, that's when I have something that looks a bit more like a daffodil. Now, where that pointy tool that I mentioned earlier comes in is that I found that was quite useful for making a hole, like almost making it like a buttonhole. So making 2 holes near each other. You see, 1, 2. There, but you could easily use like maybe a needle, or if you were careful, with like a small pair of scissors. The reason I want to do that is I literally want to sew them on like a button. I was just playing around and I found this technique, but I'll show you now the advantage. So I'm just going to push the wire in one of the holes, push the wire through the other hole, make them meet at about halfway at the back there, and then when I give it a twist now, I'm just going to pinch it all together a little. And then what I find, with a little bit of manipulation, my flower looks a bit more 3D. It's less flat and boring. So it's just kind of like an easy way of kind of attaching your wire, but also making it look 3D. I could use a thicker wire just because I find this thinner wire is a bit better because it's obviously easier to get through those holes. And then I got myself a little bit of orange felt. I'm just going to cut myself a bit of a wavy line on the top surface, just to make it again look a bit more natural. And I'm going to turn that into a little flute. There you go. I'm going to roll that up. I'll do that quite loose because I want it to be quite big. Like I said, all these techniques are totally editable based on what you've got at home, like so. All right, so sealing that there, I'll pop a little peg on it for a minute But then what I'll be doing afterwards is then gluing that to that and turning that into a daffodil that I can use. You could even wear it. So that's quite a little handy little tip. But we'll finish that one off in a second when the glue's dried. Alternatively, if you wanted to do like more of just a classic flower, then I do 2 pieces rather than cutting it out like a 6 petals all at once. Just running out of pegs. And then there's a few different ways that I've been playing with. The challenge is, can you reuse that? You definitely can. You can definitely get creative and make them into something else afterwards. So I had a little rummage through my crafting supplies. I found these felt balls that I bought ages ago with good intentions of making something. And I also found these like pom-pom trims that I used, again, I think for a project, and I don't think I needed as much as I had. So these have been quite nice to add as centres to flowers. But again, you may not have those specific things, but you may be able to find something at home that you could use to kind of create the centre of your flowers. But otherwise, you could make it with the felt itself. It's just some ideas. There we go. Sorry, you see what I'm doing? So I'm cutting 2 of those kind of propeller kind of shapes for that. Like so. All right, so I've got my 2 flowers. I'll come back down so you can see. There you go. All right, so I've got my 2 little propellers. I'm going to do the same technique as I did last time to assemble them. So just making 2 holes in the centre. Like I said, you could always use scissors or a needle. You could even use a needle and thread. And then you just got to be careful, like I just did, not let it to move. Otherwise, it's hard to find the other hole. So I'm just going to thread it with a little bit of wire. You can pick up wire in any kind of garden section of a store. Just make sure it's kind of easy to manipulate. You don't want to be hurting your hands or needing pliers. You want something that you can use just with your hands, I think. There you go, twisting it at the back. So I've got my little flower shape. I can even go a little bit tighter. There you go. So with these felt balls, these look quite nice. So you literally would just get some glue and just press that down in the centre. And then these, like I said, this was a bit of a treat when I found these. Because I don't like throwing things away. So these have been hanging around for ages. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue along the base of the pom-poms. Could get a little bit sticky, this one. And then I'm doing exactly the same as I've been doing with the flowers, just rolling it up. There we go. All right, so now I've got a little blob of flowers of kind of stamen. And then I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the back. And I'm going to attach that to the centre. So, all right, so I've got my flower. And then I'm going to hold that down. I'm going to just, again, use a peg. Any sort of pressure that you can use when you're gluing always means that it will attach better. Even if it looks ugly right now, it'll sort itself out. Once the glue's attached, I can then kind of fix it up after. It's just some way of making sure that those 2 surfaces, let me just put it that way, actually. Those 2 surfaces are joined would be great. One other thing, and then we'll start putting it on the wreath then, is, where's that gone? Leaves. So have a little sketch of leaves, have a little Google of leaves, because you don't just have to do boring leaves. You could do something a little bit more interesting. You could cut them using like a template. So you could do something with, like I did with the flowers, or what I prefer is just a freestyle. And I try and use as much of the scraps as possible. So I use lots of little bits. I'm just going to cut leaves that kind of match the scraps that I've got. Again, as you can see, I'm doing 2 pieces at once because I like to craft efficiently. So I'm just going to go for long, thin ones like that. All right. Now, again, they don't have to be dead flat and boring. If you have got some wire, you can just pop a little bit on the tip of your leaf and then pop a bit of wire on top and then give it a little pinch. again, pop another peg on there, leave that for a little while. Just make sure that wire is concealed. There you go. Leave that on there, and then you've got a little leaf, and they do look really nice, the leaves. You'd be surprised. You actually generally need to make like 10 or 12 of them, and they make the whole design kind of give it like a backdrop, which is nice. So I just finish off that daff that I made earlier. I think it's actually a bit long, so I'm actually just going to shorten it a little bit. I'm just going to cut the end off. I'm going to try and make a nice flat surface. That'll be best for the glue. And then I'm going to attach it to this. And again, I'm going to try and find a way to just pop a peg on it for just a couple of minutes, just so I know that it's doing it. So you can hardly tell the colour difference there. Yeah. But yeah, that's my orange little twist inside my yellow daff. All right, I think that's all. Just some other nice, cute things that I found when I've been searching. I found like little butterflies. They look nice on the wreath. They already come on a wire, which is great. But if not, it's quite easy to add a wreath to a wire to things. And I thought these were gorgeous. I found these in like the Works, that little kind of bookstore. So like a little mini bee and a little mini ladybird. So they actually have, these ones have sticky back on the back. So then what you can do is you can just take them and just stick them onto a leaf, making it look really cute. Yeah. I'll put a little ladybird on something as well. Maybe on a leaf, as they would be, like that. There you go. So yeah, again, hopefully some ideas, and like I said, some quite easy to find things, but also some stuff that you might want to source depending on how many you want to make. Cool. Right, so this is the one I quickly put together earlier. These were some that I think have been left over from previously, but I want to give you a rough idea of how it was going to look. So all you're going to do, so you can buy frames from Hobbycraft, or you may even like I go to my mum's house and she's got stuff like this, like from wreaths she's bought before, and that you might, be tired of, that you could update. But yeah, you see them in various shops, and you can also buy metal frames and all sorts of stuff. So do get creative. So then the wire, this wire is quite soft, but I'm going to try my best to insert it inside the rattan, the grapevine, isn't it? The grapevine material. I would probably, like, I've rushed in and just started putting things on this, but obviously you might want to be a bit more organized and plan how you'd like it to look first by just placing the items on it. I'm just going to randomly throw this leaf on, because I think that will probably look okay by then. And all I've done is wrapped it around a few times, and then I'm trying my best, because the end of the wire is quite sharp, is to finish it off inside the frame like that. All right, so like I said, it doesn't really matter if I could see that, if it didn't happen to be this nice brown color that I found, because afterwards I'm going to be putting flowers on top. I'm then going to take the pegs off the ones I made before, and then I'm just going to place that on top. Doggies, oh, look at little Bella. Oh, she's such a good girl. Wrap it round. Oh, I can see Jess is wondering why I'm talking about Bella. Jess, you're a good girl too. Wrap it round. I'm actually wrapping it around the kind of the neck there of the flower, because this one's quite long. So again, you could kind of change your system for each of them. But you could also attach a bit of glue if they still felt a bit wobbly. You don't have to only use the wire. Anything that gets them attached to make sure they're nice and safe. Get a couple more on, but I think you might get the idea. By then I can always post a picture of the final make in a bit when I've finished it. Oh, one of those little bits has fallen off, but I just need to attach a bit of glue. There you go. It's got my nice little flower. Popping that. I'm just thinking about where that would look nice. So there. Of course, these have got a wire. I did it like a button, didn't I? So I've got a piece of wire right and left like that. So I can just take it, spread it over the wreath frame, and then twist it back like so. All right. And then I just carry on like that. I'd pop my daffodil on. Pop my daffodil on like so. And then another leaf. Oh, got all the pegs on. Just keep going round, just keep adding them. Maybe the leaves can kind of be added at the beginning. You can spread them all out, or at the end generally, because you generally want to look at it, I suppose, and think where they would kind of like fit in any gaps. Same with this one. All right, so again, I just try and break up the colours so that they're all in different places. And then obviously at the end, I'm going to tidy up all these crazy wires. And like, I just generally throw them all at it. And then I tinker around with shaping them all and making sure that they all fit on. But yeah, you can have lots of fun. It's like I said, as you saw, I just managed to make, 6 flowers and a couple of leaves in not very long at all. So it's quite an easy project. And one that you can kind of just really zone out and make in a very short amount of time. So yeah, let me know if you've got any questions. I'll just stay for a second and see if anyone needs to know anything about where I got anything. Thanks, Irene. But like I said, and I do always check the comments afterwards, so if you think of anything later. But yeah, you just basically need random squares and rectangles of felt. There are lots of other designs as well, so do, freestyle a bit. And then just apply them all to a wreath. It's, we've had a pretty rubbish spring, so why not bring a little bit of sunshine and a bit of brightness to the street? They'd be okay. They'd last okay in outdoors, but the felt would obviously get a bit wet. So if you could protect them a bit, that would be great. Oh, great, Ali. Yeah, do have a go and do send us a picture if you've got a nice one. Like I said, it is a good one to do with friends as well. It's nice and easy. All right. Well, hopefully see you again. Yeah, it looks like everyone's okay. And I'll see you next month when we're going to be doing sewing a summer bag. So look out for some pictures of that and join us to make one of those. All right, bye from us all. Bye.